Hi everyone, welcome to the Counseling Corner. Today we have Nancy with me. Okay, so today on the Counseling Corner, I have Nancy Soliz with me, and she is my supervisor for registered play therapy, and she holds a lot of training and a lot of titles, so I'm going to let her kind of explain to you guys what her role is and what she does.
Sure. Thanks, Hannah, for having me on.
Yes, I'm so excited you're here.
I know, it's so great. Like Hannah said, I'm a registered play therapist supervisor, and I'll go into a little bit more of that later. But my license is actually I'm a marriage and family therapist. I also have training. I'm EMDR certified, and I also am the only TheraPlay certified practitioner in Oklahoma right now. Hopefully more are coming through, but that is kind of where I'm at right now, and I think I could explain a little bit more about all of those, but I'll turn it over to you and see kind of what questions you have for me. And
yeah, absolutely. So for people watching, when you hear all of those terms, it can be kind of confusing, but that just means Nancy has like a lot of training, and she's very skilled at working with children and working with families. And a lot of us here at Family Solutions really go to her for guidance or for supervision. And so it's been so exciting getting to work with her at Family Solutions, but also she is one of the trainers at our Oklahoma Play Therapy Training Institute. And so also just getting to learn and get that knowledge from Nancy has been such a blessing. And so super cool that you're on the show today. And I'm glad that you're here. One of the things that we were just talking about yesterday in supervision, though, was this dynamic of how to balance being a parent and working, and even more so than that, but like being a parent and having these big career goals or these dreams, and feeling like there's so many things to accomplish and so many things to do, and how do we do them all? How do we get them all done?
It's I guess a constant struggle. And I was talking to you earlier that I actually was a therapist first and then became a parent, which I think is a little different. I started my journey as a marriage and family therapist, like I said, and when I was in Kansas, I was lucky to have professors that were really passionate about working with kids and play therapy. So I got to pursue play therapy while I was in my master's program, and supervision and all I needed for that as well. But as a beginning clinician, I had just such a passion for working with kids, but I didn't have kids myself. So that was like a really hard thing, kind of balancing, like I had all of this book knowledge, but not the experience of being a parent. And so I almost say like my therapy self informed my parent self more so at the beginning than the other way around. And I know that different therapists may not have, that approach, I guess. But that's kind of what it was like for me. And so I was very career driven at the very beginning of my career, because I didn't have a family. So I was very like top of my class, read all the books, like did all the things, like tried to be the best I could be and get all of the training I could get before I had kids, which I was so thankful. I was able to do that. And when I had kids, I actually kind of took a hiatus from a lot of the trainings that I had got early in my career. So I had got trained on like TheraPlay, which is an attachment-based therapy, like before I had children, and then I got trained in EMDR before I had kids. But there's levels of training and then certification. So while I was a new mom, I really didn't have time to focus on those certifications, which require a lot more time and money and trying to figure that out, how to balance that family and work life was so hard. And I'm still, trying to figure it out.
Yes.
My husband's watching my kids today.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Trying to like juggle everything all at once. So, and I'm sure like even people that aren't therapists deal with that. Like, where do I balance like moving forward in my career versus like knowing this is my role as a mom and how important that is for me or dad,
Yes.
in building your career.
Yeah, for sure. I resonate with that so much because I was pursuing all of those things. Like, my goal was just to like get my master's before I had kids. And me and my husband often joke of like, oh, probably should have been like, get through candidacy before I have kids. Because, right, that's just like such an extension of that time. But truly, throughout my master's, I'm like, we were waiting to start a family till I was done with my master's. And so then, of course, I'm in my candidacy and I have my first child. And because of all that head knowledge, right, knowing how important a secure base is and a secure attachment, and something in me was just like, I literally cannot let someone else care for her. And that also, I have evolved and I have changed and learned to trust others, but with that first one, it's a real it's a real doozy of like even we thought we were prepared, we had planned for her, and it still is just like, whoa. That was
so much.
And
like having to leave your kiddo for the first time and go back to work is just like, why am I doing this? I need to stay home with them, and trying to figure out like, I know that like my career is such my passion, but being a mom is my passion too. And like, how do you hold those two passions and try to do the best job at both of them, but knowing that you can't do everything and how to say no. That's my constant struggle, is saying no
to things. Absolutely. And so I actually stayed home for 5 years, and knowing, like I'm not using my degree and I'm not doing what I'm passionate about, was really hard, and I struggled with that. And so then getting to like be in this space again where I'm doing therapy and doing what I'm passionate about has been really fulfilling. But during that season, I remember a mom told me specifically, like, this is just a season and there is time to do it all. And so I have had to remind myself that so many times, because even now, right, I'm 3 days a week, I have a 3 and a 6-year-old. So even what I'm doing now, I think, looks different than what I might do in 10 years.
For sure.
And so reminding myself that this is just a season. And maybe at a later time I can do more. But also knowing like I'm right where I want to be. I want to have that time with my kids, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And I think, my career path has obviously changed over time, because like I said, I started out not having a family, and I went through candidacy before I even got married. So it was like a different experience for me, having that time to like really focus on my career in the early stages. And then got married, had a family, was at this career that was like a lot, like I want to say 50, 60 hours a week of like just really like working hard. And like once I had my first, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So shortly after being there, I stopped and went on to like working 3 days a week, and now I work 2 days a week. So like just kind of as things have gone, I've made missteps in figuring out like, okay, how do I balance this? And I really do feel like right now, for the season I'm in right now, this is kind of my happy zone. And I'm like you, I want to do different, maybe write a book. I want, do more training. I love, like you said, I do Oklahoma Play Therapy Training Institute, so I love training other clinicians that are trying to figure out how to work with kids and families, because that's my passion is we can't do it all alone. There's I know there's waiting lists because so many people want their kids to be seen by people that have a lot of knowledge, and there just needs to be more of us. So hopefully training like the state of Oklahoma to have a lot of like really qualified and wonderful play therapists. Like yourself.
So if you're watching this and you're interested in becoming a play therapist, you can head on over to Oklahoma Play Therapy Training Institute and find out how to become registered play therapist and join a cohort and receive that really high level of training from someone that is really knowledgeable and passionate about it. And so I think too, coming here and getting to work alongside you, it feels so affirming as someone trying to also balance that. And then knowing we have some other therapists here that are about to enter that stage and feeling like, I'm passionate about wanting to help them kind of just have a heads up for what's to come. And so I wish, someone would have told me before of like, hey, the adventure you're about to have is going to be really, really hard and it's worth it. But just like enjoy those moments, even when you're, breastfeeding every 2 hours and not sleeping through the night. There's like a article that it's from this website called Her View from Home, and it's written by a lady that used to be an attorney, but now she's a stay-at-home mom of like 6 girls.
Oh, wow.
But the advice in the article just says like, it's not your time yet. Like, and I remind myself of that a lot. Like, you want to write a book, it's not your time yet.
No, we're to develop more in the hours in the day for that to happen.
But just knowing like, okay, it's a season, it's not our time maybe yet. And then, even me entering back into work, it felt more like, okay, it is my time to do this part yet. And that felt really good to also enter that. And so this could also be, a lot of dads are stay-at-home dads. It's not exclusively to moms, just any working parent I feel like could really relate to this information. So what would your advice be to people who are about to navigate that season? How do they prepare to go into that? What could help them better balance that? If you could give them some sort of advice.
Gosh, I think like just having support is like probably number one. Like you don't recognize how much support you need as a parent. Like it really does take a village, and figuring out like where you can get that support, whether that's from a partner or from family or friends. Church family, whatever, finding ways to have support as you're doing this parenting journey, because it is, like any parent knows, it's so rewarding. It's like I think I heard someone say it's like the best days of your life and also the worst days of your lives. Like, and that's so true. You can't like separate them sometimes, but like, just having that support as a parent and figuring out how are you going to get that as, your kids grow and need, other healthy adults in their lives too. Besides, like you talked about, like it's important to have that healthy attachment, but they also have to see other adults interacting with them too.
100%.
So building that up, I would say, is like number one, figuring out what your supports are. I love your advice about just thinking about the season of life. When you have a newborn, it's a lot harder to do the things that you could do when you have a 10-year-old. And that's kind of where I'm at. So I have like a little one, and then I have a 10-year-old. So it's just so much different what you can do with older kids versus a newborn. So just knowing that it isn't forever, because I felt like when you're in those sleepless night stages, you're like, this is never going to end.
Especially with the first one.
You're like, is this what I signed up for?
Like, is this my new life forever? And you're sleep deprived and not thinking rationally.
And hormones, and it's just, it's a lot. But it like, now that I've been a decade in to parenting, I'm like, okay, like, it really is very seasonal, and it's not going to be like this. So that advice is really good to kind of remember as a working parent, is figuring out what you need to do at what time in your kids' lives too, and like how you can dedicate yourself to being a parent and a career person.
Absolutely. And with that, like, I think there's some people maybe that are listening, or that even know someone that they're thinking, oh, like, I know of someone that maybe their family doesn't live in the state and they're somewhat isolated and feeling like they're doing it alone. And so I think, an outlet could be, maybe you carve out a time where you go see a therapist and you get to you get to have a space that helps you navigate, that you can tell that person, hey, I am struggling. This is hard. I have a lack of support, and I just need a place to like let all that out. And so if that's you, or if you know of someone that you're thinking of when you hear these things, send them to Family Solutions. We have excellent therapists here that are passionate about working with those types of families, and that are really skilled at it. So I always like to say, for those people that find themselves needing support and don't have it immediately by a family or a group of friends or a church, that maybe reaching out for therapy could be a way to get that.
And I will say that's like, and I know that you're passionate about that too, but like working with moms is like one of my I'm like a niche, like that I love working with moms that have had childhood trauma, that then are becoming a parent and trying to figure out like, oh, maybe I wasn't parented in a way that I want for my kid. And so like, how do I do that? Because I didn't have that model to me, and I know I want to be different, but I don't really know how. I don't have that like lived experience. And that I love working with moms that have that kind of background, just with my own background, and actually my childhood play therapy stuff really comes into play with those adults, because contrary to popular belief, play therapy can be used across the lifespan. And you know, because we have the Santry room here, which I love. And so it's a room that I have used with parents to kind of work through some of those issues. And
I love that. Yes, you and I share that same vision and passion, and that niche for being really passionate about not just the children, but also the parents, and recognizing like what are those generational cycles that we can really break, and honestly change entire family systems and family trees for generations to come, just by partnering with the parent now and their child now. Those long family lines that it can change is just like, I know. I mean, I geek out over that.
I know, because there's a quote, like you were just talking about quotes. I was like, oh, there's such a good quote by Mother Teresa. She says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, that is so true.
100%.
Like, and as a person that's, working, I have to figure out like, okay, that's my ultimate goal. Like, this is my career, but my family is like, going and loving my family is my number one priority. And I hope that I can help other families to have that goal as well. That like, it's really world changing when you change that path for families and children. Like, it's amazing. Like, our career is the coolest. I always tell people, I'm like, I really have the best job. Like, best job.
That's what I say too. I'm like, I have my dream job, and it's like this shared passion I have, same for my family. I'm getting to do that for a living. And I love that quote by Mother Teresa, because it's so true. And so I know you brought some books here. So for people that are saying, okay, how do I do that? How do I try to start by changing my family? Maybe there's people watching that say, I didn't have a great model or a great family to show me those things. What are some practical books? I know that there's too many to share.
I said this is on point for me, because like, I teach classes and I always come with like loads of books. And I'm always like, okay guys, you don't have to read all of these books. I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I like to read a lot of books, and so I always give that disclaimer when I'm teaching classes, like,
they don't have to go home and read all of these today.
No, don't do
and
that.
I will say, we shared last time we did Counseling Corner, The Connected Child by Dr. Karen Purvis.
So good.
No Drama Discipline.
So good. I brought that in here. But you're like, we already talked about that. It's fine.
And then another one, which kind of goes into what we were just saying. It didn't start with you. And recognizing that inherited family trauma. And even if the trauma didn't happen to you,
that happened.
What happened to the people that came before you.
You can tell I'm a total nerd, because I'm just like,
same, I know.
I love that stuff. So good. Okay.
So what are some additional ones you got that you'd like to share?
I kind of just ran the gamut with everything. I think what I will mention first is like the shortest book, just for like people that are like, I don't have a lot of time because I do have a newborn or whatever. Becky Bailey wrote I Love You Rituals, and it's a really good like flip like connection point with your kids. So say you're a working mom and you're working the 40, 50, 60-hour weeks, and you're like, I have to work, like I don't know how to, you know, like what else can I do, you know, you're overwhelmed. This is a really good, like it talks about how important it is in your child's life to have really good points of meeting where whenever you greet them and say goodbye, and that gives you like points of like meeting your kids, which are just really short, like little nursery rhymes or little handshakes or little hand motions. And it's for probably a younger population, like if you're just starting out as a parent. But you could do some of this stuff, honestly, I could see doing some of this stuff with my 10-year-old and he would love it. But it's a really good resource for just like meeting your kid if you're super busy and you're like, I don't have the time to read like a whole book. But this just gives you really quick like meeting points. And it talks about in the beginning, like the brain development and how important it is to have those moments of meeting. But this is a really good resource. And if you're not familiar, Becky Bailey also does conscious discipline, which a lot of people use in schools. So some people have heard of this name before, and that's where you hear that from, is from her. And so this is really good. And you can like, I know like because I teach classes, I look up how much stuff costs like right now. So like you can go and find these used for like $3. So it's not an expensive resource either. You can find it. Used copy.
Yes, I have that book and I love it. It's so great. And like you said, a quick one if parents are like, what could I do today? Like, today when you pick up your child from school.
What can I do to like attach with it and like recognize that that's important. I love my kids. And obviously you're working those hours so you can support your kids, you know.
For sure.
But ways of just fine-tuning attachment. Just
builds that connected piece. I love that.
So
it's a great one.
Love this
Thanks
one.
for sharing that. I know you're ready to share your next
I know.
one.
I'm trying to sit here like, okay, which one do I go to next? Okay, so that was like the least amount of time. Now I'm going to go to the one that would take the most amount of time.
I'm loving.
And
I
one
knew you were going to grab this one
that you're going to have to be like, well, now I have to go to therapy.
Right.
So,
yes. I knew you were going to grab this
if you read this book, you're going to be like, oh, now I have to go to therapy for this. It's called Parenting from the Inside Out by Dan Siegel and Mary Hartzell. You talked about Dan Siegel with Whole Brain Child, but this book he wrote before Whole Brain Child. So this book really dives into like your own way that you were parented and how that affects your parenting.
Which can we just talk about is everything, those first times you realize, like, why is this causing me such a big feeling inside?
And it's funny when you're interacting with your partner because you realize your partner has different like things that cause them like anxiety or stress in parenting than you, and you're like, why is it such a big deal that they lied to you? Like they're a kid and they're like, oh my gosh, they lied. They're gonna end up in prison. We gotta teach them not to lie. And you're like, whoa, what's going on here for you?
For you to jump like from there to there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more about our own stuff, our own issues.
We all have it. We all have it. Because we're human beings and we all are just doing our best.
Well, and I would say too, I mean, even people that before you have kids, you really think you have all of that figured out and navigated. At least for me, I'm like, you know, things are great, especially like probably same for you. I was so dedicated to like getting my master's and making all A's, and I just spent so much of my time like excelling or pursuing something that all of a sudden had a child and slowed down, and then you're just like confronted with
trying to figure out your Enneagram right now. I'm like, we might be the same.
We probably are. I should have done that. Like, guess my Enneagram.
We'll share after, just so people don't know our weaknesses.
Yes, great idea. I love it. It's a good one. Okay, so
so this one is so good, but like I said, you'll have to come to Family Solutions after you read it because it's going to bring up some stuff. But so good. It's a hard read because he uses a lot of brain science stuff. So sometimes I'm like, I need to read that paragraph over again, like 5 times before I really understand what you're trying to communicate to me. So
that's good to know going into it.
Yes,
it has some terms in it, and it's not going to be a read at the beach, lighthearted read.
No, maybe on an airplane, but not at the beach. But yes, this is a good one.
Okay,
really excellent book. I oftentimes give that to parents as like, you know, As you're working through these issues, we might as well just dig. We just dig.
Keep digging it out. And we always say, or I always say in therapy, like things tend to, sometimes they get worse before they get better. Because you have
things rise to the surface. I tell people that too. I have this handy chart that kind of talks about therapy and like how a lot of times people get better at the very beginning of therapy because they're like, yeah, I'm going to therapy, I'm doing great. And then they realize, oh crap, I have to talk about really hard things. Yeah. And it's like, we have to deal with a lot of that stuff. But you have somebody there with you to kind of walk alongside you and hold your hand and 100%. Figure out how to get to the other end where it's not as sticky.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that just the idea of someone like walking alongside you, journeying with you. So hopefully they can find that in their support system.
Yes.
But if not, seeking therapy for that. Or sometimes, I mean, yes, you can have the greatest support system ever and still really need that.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh,
yeah.
Okay. We probably have time for you to share one more, but...
Oh, gosh. Okay. Then I'm going to go with this one.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm like a theraplay. That's my other like passion, theraplay. Parenting with theraplay, it talks specifically about attachment and like why that is so important. And this is more of a read that you can, like it does have some, brain science stuff, but it's very like accessible to like general population on like how to use that in everyday life. Love this book because it just kind of helps you. And it also talks about different ages, like, okay, what do I do? How do I encourage nurture in my infant versus my adolescent?
Right.
Because that's going to look different.
Yes.
And like they need similar things. You need touch and care, like nurture, but it looks different from your teenage boy to your little bitty baby.
Right. And as soon as you think you have it figured out,
then it changes.
They change.
Yeah. But the stuff, the bottom line stuff doesn't change, which is always important to remember. If you can kind of figure out the formula, which I feel like this is kind of like the formula for connection. Is
love
like,
that.
and this is, love it. So good.
So I think we'll have these links like listed in the comments. If you're like, they said those and I don't really know what they said, we'll make sure we put those on there so that you can have them. And they're all on Amazon, but also used bookstores.
Yes.
Really
That's why I'm like, go to the used bookstores because you can get them for cheaper and.
For sure.
I'm all about that.
Okay, before we end today, I have a little this or that game.
Oh gosh,
so I'm going to give you like two things. And since our topic was a lot to do with children and parenting and being a mom, these tend to lend themselves to that, okay?
All right, good. So is this like answer immediately and like ask questions later?
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be a little
the first ones are, I feel like, pretty easy. And so it's just your personal preferences.
Okay.
We tried to keep them lighthearted. Didn't want to cause any,
like I'm going to have to go see
No. Didn't want to offend anyone either. I was like, what are really neutral ones, right? Okay, summer break or winter break?
Oh, that's tough. Okay, so kind of winter. I'm like a winter person. I love cold, and I love, honestly, the winter clothes more than summer clothes.
Winter's definitely easier to dress for.
I love winter. I love the things you do in winter. And yeah, I would say winter break.
Winter break.
And like it's like holiday time and like traditions and you get together with family, and so I love all of those. Like, I wish it was longer. It's only.
Okay, I love it.
I love it.
Good answer. Okay. Clean up paint or clean up glitter?
Paint, hands down. Oh my gosh, is that even a question?
It shouldn't be, but
if you know about glitter, I don't.
You could say it. I know exactly what you're thinking.
Glitter in the playroom. I do glitter glue because I'm like, okay, that's a way we can have glitter, and you can do. That's going to show my type base. So, but
same when people get like the glitter bag, like gift sacks, and you just barely touch it, and you're like, now it's on my hand, it's in my hair, it's in my eyebrows, like glitter everywhere. Same. Okay, would you rather step on a Lego or step in pee?
Pee.
Okay.
Absolutely, because it doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt. Like, it's gross. Like, but I can wash that off.
Yeah,
like,
no problem.
I'm gonna say if I don't have an open wound or something.
Clarifying.
Then Lego. But Legos are horrible to step on.
They hurt so bad.
I have lots of boys, so like I have 3 boys. So
those Legos.
There's lots of Legos.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. Um, okay, out of these two, would you rather never have to do dishes again or never have to do laundry again?
Oh, laundry.
Same.
Yeah, laundry is the worst. I did laundry this morning at 6 a.m.
It just never
Like,
ends.
this is the work-life balance, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I'm like, no one's up. I'm just going to get up early and fold clothes. How much fun for me.
The worst.
I'm putting it away. My kids are still asleep. I'm like...
And when you think you have it done, you're like, oh, it just never.
ends.
It's always, there's always something to be folded or washed.
If I was like, independently wealthy, that's the first thing. I would still have my job, by the way. Like, people are like, are you like going to retire? I'm like, no, I'll just wheel myself into the playroom. That's my goal.
Perfect.
But if I was independently wealthy, that would be the first thing. Like,
someone to do
laundry. Yeah.
Love it. That's awesome. Okay, would you rather have an outdoor play date or an indoor play date? Like for kids, with kids?
I think outdoor. So I'm a huge hiker. Actually, we went to national parks for spring break, like 4 national parks. So I'm a big hiker. I love hiking. I love like packing my Camelback and like stuffing it with snacks and like eating their beef jerky. And
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, so definitely outdoor. I'd go hiking.
Love it. Okay, then the last one. Would you rather vacation to Disney World or...
Absolutely not. Whatever the other one is, I'm picking.
Okay, I knew your answers before you answered. Or a beach vacation.
Oh, I choose a beach.
Yeah.
Okay. I cannot. Kudos to everybody that's Disney World, but I just like that just gives me like
so stressful.
Anxiety. So many people.
Yes.
So much to keep up with. I also have 4 children, which I don't think I shared, but like that's like a lot to keep up with to me.
Right. I only have 2, and the thought of going is like, it's not, you don't go for like relaxation. It's like
it's
adventure, stress. Like, I want them to make this memory.
Yeah. Whereas like when we're hiking on a mountain, there's like only, so many places you could go. Disney World, they could, be wherever.
Yes.
They could get eaten by an alligator. I don't know.
And hiking on a mountain is way more cost effective for entertainment.
It sure is. It sure is. And that's what we're about right now.
Yes.
Young family. So
Okay, well that was all our this or that questions. So I just wanted to say thank you again so much for being here. I loved having you on the live show. And so maybe our guests or our viewers will get to hear from you again sometime in the future. So yeah, thanks for being here.
Anna. This was so much fun.
Yeah.